Hello, welcome to the Q. We're going to look at some different aspects of the Global War 36 game coming up here on YouTube called Operation Skyhook. First we'll look at some of the expansions we're going to use. Turkey at War and Canada at War. Turkey at War, if you're not familiar with it, you've got three sides, the Comintern, Axis, and Allies vying for influence to bring Turkey into the war on their side. And pretty much it's based off, for I think 2 IPPs, you can roll a dice to see if you get the influence. And then once you've successfully influenced Turkey 4 times, they are on your side. Canada at War, it takes some property away from Britain, but it's still a part of the Commonwealth and goes in that block of turns, with UK Pacific. Well, I guess it would be Far East Command and Anzac and then Britain. So it will be played at the same time. It does take off 1 IPP from Britain's starting income. And then their wartime income is also reduced by 6, so that's a full, average dice roll there. So they'll be able to be in the war sooner. One of the advantages of Canada is that it starts with a major factory now. So right off the bat, the Commonwealth will have 2 technology rolls, and they have some other benefits. They have a Corvette, which is a cheaper version of a destroyer, that'll be used for hunting subs, and then another option for purchasing fighter aircraft a little cheaper. So there's some advantages there for Canada, and they kind of offset it a little bit with Germany being able to produce subs at a 1 IPP less. So a normal sub would be 5, and then if you get the advanced subs, that would be a 6. And then I think they throw in 2 subs on the ship and facility production chart, and they are locked in place until Germany actually goes to war with Britain, or the Commonwealth, I should say. And then they'll come in, 1 turn, and then the next turn will be the other one. So those are interesting. I've never played with the Canada at War one. That'll be the first time for that. Turkey at War we've used before. The other individual expansions we're going to use, the Elite of the Reich, and it is for the most part, a turn-based opportunity to upgrade regular units to what you would call elite units, or they give them a lot of markers that are the SS divisions. They typically all have a +1 to the attack, +1 to defense, and most of it is time oriented, and if you're not paying attention and you don't have the unit available at the time that you can make that upgrade, then you lose that opportunity. And that upgrade, all the upgrades are 1 IPP, and I think there is a couple instances where you get a free unit, but that is like I think when Germany takes possession of the Netherlands, I think they get a free infantry unit there, one of the upgraded ones. So that's pretty interesting. Another one is the Elite of the Soviet Union, and that is based off combat experience. So a victory in a territory that is outside of the Russian homeland allows you to upgrade 1 infantry style unit to a guards unit, and it's the same as the German Elite. It's a +1 to attack and defense. If you have a victorious land battle within the Soviet Union, then it's homeland, then you get to upgrade 2 units, and then at that point it could be 1 infantry and 1 armor. So you can get some pretty decent units, along with military success. And we've used both those expansions several times here, and I think everybody pretty much likes those. A new one that came out is the Imperial Elite of the Rising Sun, and I just printed that off the other day. We have not used it, but just briefly looking through it, because I'm not Japan, it looks like there are several situations where you would receive a SNLF unit when you capture certain territories, and I think there's 4 territories where you would get a free unit, but the rest of the chart is to purchase said units, and so it's not really, you're not really upgrading, but you have the opportunity to purchase them. You know, the SNLF, which is the elite Marine Force of Japan. The U.S. is using the Minorities at War expansion. I don't have a sheet on that. We've never used that. I do know what it is just based off of watching other videos and briefly looking at it. So let's look at the magnetic board and give a shout out to a YouTuber who made some pretty darn good charts. Alright, on the board here you can see we've got Germany, Italy, and Japan here in the middle, along with the Comintern and the Allies down the right side, and a special sheet here at the bottom here, and they are all produced by Memo G, and there's his channel, and he's got several videos that he did a couple months ago with all these different upgrades, including a IPC chart tracker, which looks pretty cool. I've also got here his sheet that lists all the unit stats and what they do. But if you go to his channel, you can look those up and subscribe, because it's got some pretty good, I think it's Photoshop skills is what he said, the program he used. But as you see, I have these up on the board, and here would be the national objectives. So we all know what's going on there. Certain aspects, the Japanese surprise attack, destroyers or transports, patriotic citizens. Here's one that sometimes gets missed, you know, the ability to purchase militia for $1, dug-in defense, you know, some things that kind of get missed. They're on the spec, not really spec sheets, the reference sheets, but here everything that you really need as a quick reference, and there's their special unit. So you go up, Italy special unit, Germany special unit, you know, and everything that they got going as well. And they're just real handy. And the reason I say that is because you back up here, and we've got them all on this magnetic board, and everyone can see what everyone has. So it's not like you have to keep asking or looking at the board or borrowing reference sheets. And the main one that I say that for is these income increases, peacetime income increases. So for USA, these are all the events and what the increase is. So USR, ANZAC, Far East, UK, United Kingdom. So those are pretty important things that are found on the opponent's reference sheets, not on your own. So you have to be aware of your actions as the Axis or the Comintern. I think there's some things the Comintern can do to anger the Allies and get their peacetime income going. And then of course at the bottom is a little chart for the terrain and all that kind of stuff. So I printed out quite a bit of his stuff. We have it in play, as you can see. So let me give that name again. It's Memo G. So look him up on YouTube and subscribe. So the last thing I wanted to look at that we'll be using in our YouTube game here is how the units are marked on my board. I've noticed from watching other YouTube videos about global war, and everyone seems to have a different style of how they want to present their units, and it's no different here. for the most part, we do use the red chip as an Axis and Allies to represent 5 units, and the gray to 1, and then all the other chips represent 1. But as they come down the list there, you can see that they are color coordinated to match the paint that is on the units, at least the infantry anyway. You know, for the militia, you know, if you had 1 militia, you'd just have the 1 militia with the yellow, you know, on the base. If you had 2, you just put a yellow chip on it, because every chip equals 1 except for the red, which is 5. So, you know, it goes down: Marines blue, the mountain black, and the paratroopers are white. We're using the green that normally is a 3 in Axis and Allies to represent light. You know, if it was light vehicles, basically vehicles that you wouldn't buy, they just start the game, so you won't see many green chips. And then for the heavies, we'll use the orange. I do have most of my sculpts, I do have heavy versions of tanks and bombers and that kind of thing. So, but to make it easier for people, we'll use that orange to represent the technology, the advanced units. Before I get to those, the ships are the same. I don't really paint all the different ships. I just designate, you know, black for the destroyers, yellow for the light cruisers, and then this blue here for the battle cruisers. So that way I don't have to have all the ships all painted up. You'll see a cruiser on the board. If it doesn't have yellow, it's a heavy cruiser. The different battleships we'll have to designate as we go, but most of the time heavy battleships isn't something that's purchased a lot, or not purchased, but technology's rolled for very much, so why make a unit just for that almost never gets used, is my thought. The arrows that I use on the game, if you've watched any of my other YouTube games, usually I have a combat as a red arrow, and then I'll mark a non-com move with a yellow that I want to make sure I do. And you'll just see that as we go along. For the elite units for Germany, we're just going to use the black version of here. Black tank is one of the upgraded elite units, black infantry, black mech, so forth. For the Russians, we'll use the red units as well. As far as Japan, I'll do the same thing. I've got some red Japanese infantry sculpts that we can use for those SNLF guys. And I think that's about it for the board here. If you have any questions as you're watching the turns, feel free to shout them out. Of course, the other thing too to remind everyone is that this game is really a lot of different rules that are found on reference sheets as well as the book, so some get missed. You know, shout out, hey, you shouldn't have done that, or you know, you maybe you had an option to do this and you didn't know because of the rules. Because really, once that camera starts rolling and you start doing your turn, you'd be surprised how much you forget, even some of the basic stuff, and it just takes time to get used to that. So put in comments anything you see, any questions, any ideas, and the games will start, or the videos will start dropping on September 1st, and we will go, we've got 6 players, so I'll start a playlist. Well, I've already started a playlist, Operation Skyhook. It has the intro video, and then I'll drop this one in there, and then I will drop everyone's video as they come out in there, so you can just kind of go to that playlist and look, you know, if you're lost. A lot of times people want you to put the link, the descriptions, you know, in the video box, but it's hard to do when you're filming the video and posting it, to go back and try and grab all these videos to post. So and then of course I'm gonna drop the first video, so there won't be no links, you know, in that one. So Watch the playlist. That's kind of the easiest way, I think. If you haven't subscribed to all the players, you can from the playlist. Just click on their video and hit subscribe and hit the alert. And you can always turn off the alerts later, you know, when the actual war has finally ended. So until we start rolling dice, you keep rolling dice.